here is the Writer's Almanac for Sunday, May the 9th, 2021. It is Mother's Day. It was on this day in 1994 that Nelson Mandela was elected as the first president of a democratic South Africa, having served 27 years in prison for his opposition to apartheid. It's the birthday of a man who was deeply influenced by his mother, and that was James Matthew Barrie, J.M. Barrie, born in Kirriemuir, Scotland in 1860, whose most famous story begins, "All children except one grow up." His story, Peter Pan. J.M. Barrie invented Peter Pan as a small role in a novel called The Little White Bird. But he liked the character so much that he wrote a play based on him, Peter Pan, or The Boy Who Wouldn't Grow Up, which debuted in 1904, which he then expanded and published as the novel Peter and Wendy. It came out in 1911. The story of a boy named Peter. He lives in the kingdom of Neverland. He never grows up. At night he comes to London, to Kensington, listens in on the Darling family's bedtime stories, and one day Mrs. Darling catches him and takes his shadow, and Peter comes back to find it, but in the process he wakes up young Wendy Darling, who sews the shadow back on, and she and her brothers Peter and Michael go with Peter Pan to Neverland, where she acts as mother to the lost boys, the abandoned boys that Peter found in Kensington Gardens and brought home with him. And they fight off the evil Captain Hook, and they play with the mermaids, and they meet Princess Tiger Lily and the fairy Tinkerbell. And eventually Wendy returns home with her brothers. J.M. Barrie was the 9th of 10 children born to his parents. Family was Scottish Calvinist. He had 2 older brothers, one of whom, David, was his mother's favorite child. He was smart and handsome and athletic, and David died in a skating accident just before his 14th birthday. The mother was devastated, wouldn't get out of bed. All she wanted to talk about was David, and when James would come into her room, he was a little boy, she would ask if it was David, so he dressed in David's clothes and tried to whistle like his brother. She told the little boy stories about her own childhood. She was just 8 years old when her mother died, at which point she became the mistress of the house, mother to her own little brother. And J.M. Barrie took that version of his mother and made her into Wendy. And he took his brother David and made him into Peter Pan. It's the birthday of Mona Van Duyn, born in Waterloo, Iowa, 1921. She was shy, she was smart, she was tall, she wrote poetry secretly, filling notebook after notebook, published her first book when she was 38 years old, Valentines to the Wide World. Mona Van Duyn, who said, "I believe that good poetry can be as ornate as a cathedral or as bare as a pottingshed, as long as it confronts the self with honesty and fullness. Nobody is born with the capacity to perform this act of confrontation in poetry or anywhere else. One's writing career is simply a continuing effort to increase one's skill at it." Here's a little poem for today by Julia Carney, Little Things. Little drops of water, little grains of sand, make the mighty ocean and the pleasant land. Little deeds of kindness, little words of love, make our earth an Eden, like the heaven above. Wrote Julia Carney in her poem, Little Things. That's the Writer's Almanac for Sunday, May the 9th. Be well, do good work, and keep in touch.
This is Tim Russell. With your help, production of the Writer's Almanac will continue through December, maybe longer. Your donation helps cover costs of research, recording, editing, payments to poets, and more. Please visit GarrisonKeillor.com to make a contribution. Thank you.